Huh? Okay. Servam AI and Sovereign AI in India. So this you might have seen. Recently there is India AI Impact Summit that is going on. Correct. In that, apart from that Galgotia University, something that has gotten popular is this Servam AI. Now, see what it is. So basically, now whatever models and everything that is made, all these LLMs, okay, Chat GPT, Gemini, all these models. Now, apart from that, we are trying to make our own sovereign AI. Why we would want to do something like this? Why we would want to do? Huh? Because first thing that we want to be we don't want to be dependent on foreign countries. Other thing is that we want to protect our data, and next and most important thing is we want to make artificial intelligence inclusive. Okay, so now if you know that most of the internet that you use or most of the AI that you use, it is only and only in one language, that is English. Correct. If you want to access things in Hindi, you have very less resources, or let's say Kannada or whatever language. Okay, so basically you have very few resources. Now this tries to bridge it. Okay, so there are two main things that it does. I'll tell you in short and then we'll see whatever is written here. So there are two things. One is Servam Vision and one is Bulbul V3. Now what are these? So Servam Vision, so they have made a spec like this. Okay, it is actually an AI system. Spec is just to see it. So basically what it does, so anything, let's say there is a government document. Now it has some things written in Hindi, some things written in English, then some random tables are there. Correct. Government documents, if you have seen, very poorly taken pictures are there. Now those are not very well analyzed by Chat GPT, Gemini, all these. Now these are specifically trained on those government documents. So it is very good at dealing with them. And it not only just reads whatever is written in those government documents, it really understands that. First, in government documents what we'll have, so first they will tell you about the who's the authority that is giving all this. Then they will tell you what are the main features that you will find in this document. Then at last you have annexure or the main document or the data points. Correct. So it understands and it is trained on those. So that's why analysis of all these documents and everything that are sometimes mixed in language and sometimes some very typical government documents, it is done better by this than all the standard models that we have. Then other is Bulbul V3. So this is text to speech. So what it can do, it can not just read and understand, it can even speak in different languages. For example, in that in this AI Summit conference, you might see this. So basically there was one professor that was doing this. So when he was reading out the lines that were written here, now using this Bulbul V3, it was getting converted into different languages in real time. So let's say I am speaking in English and you will hear, or everyone will hear in Kannada only. Okay, or in some other language. So within few seconds, they were just changing the language. He was constantly changing the language. It was being, you could listen to it in different languages. So this is text to speech. These are the two main things. Now the main thing is that this is much better than Gemini, Chat GPT, all these LLM models in the domain that it works in. And this is the very specific indigenous domain. Okay, now let's see whatever is written here. So first is this only, Servam Vision and Bulbul V3 outperformed global AI on India benchmarks. Correct. Then selected under 10,300 crore India AI mission. So India AI mission is the main mission under which government give grants and everything for different AI companies. Now this is one of the main companies that have come here, that is under India AI mission. Then developing 70B indigenous LLM. So there are three models: Servam large, Servam small, Servam edge. Just like you have different models of Chat GPT. Okay, so similar is this. Then, so first one, Servam large is for advanced reasoning. This is for real-time application. This is for on-device AI. Now, this on-device AI, Servam edge, is being talked about as a very good alternative in rural places and all, where you don't have very high where you have very high latency or internet connection is not that good. So this is on device AI. So it won't be requiring that much bandwidth to work. So this also they have developed. Now ideally no big tech companies would want to develop something like this. Why would they care? For some people who does not even have proper internet, they don't care about them. But as a sovereign AI, this will like to care about them. So this is it. This signals push towards sovereign AI ecosystem. That's it. Then what is this? So this, as I explained you, this is a vision language model. Performs image captioning and table parsing. Then reads chart and complex layouts. Goes beyond OCR. OCR you understand? Huh? OCR? Optical recognition. This you do now, like you take a photo of any document and then if you ask ChatGPT, can you convert this into text or can you extract text out of it? This is called optical character recognition. This is OCR. So OCR is very simple, that it reads what that character might be and it just gives you. Now if your handwriting is not that good or whatever, you just write randomly, so it won't be perfect. But here it goes beyond OCR. So it tries to understand, and using all the data that it already has for similar documents, it will try to understand what might be the word here, what these tables usually do, so what this might be telling, correct? And that way they do it. Then enables structured knowledge extraction. This is fine. Trained on 22 Indian languages. Handles mixed scripts. Okay, then strong benchmark performance. This is about Sarvam Vision. Yeah, yeah. It will also work like a simple chat box kind of system also. They have recently developed a specs also that Modi ji was wearing in this India AI Impact Summit. Okay, you can find his photos. Then this is done. Then what is Bulbul V3? So this is what? So this is text to speech model. 35 plus professional voices you can find here. It supports 11 languages, expanding to 22. So right now supporting 11 languages. What it will do, as I explained you, it will convert things from text to speech, okay, in real time. Now captures prosody and accents also, basically different voice patterns that you have, that also gets captured. Then handles code switching and regional nuances. For example, if you take Kannada, North Karnataka people will be speaking it slightly differently, South Karnataka people slightly differently. So those nuances also it tries to understand, as well as it can give you those nuances also. Then enables vernacular digital access. Then so they have developed an AI suite. Okay, so basically this AI suite will do what? So this is not just one of the AI company that is doing all this. So they are trying to create a framework on which other companies can also work. So there is Samvad, enterprise conversational AI. Then you have audio, where you have multilingual speech model, and you have dub, AI dubbing and voice cloning. So all this, for this right now we use foreign AIs and foreign softwares. So we want to make this indigenously. This is what we are trying. Now, one thing that you should also know. So economic survey. Okay. In one lecture we covered economic survey. In economic survey there is a chapter on artificial intelligence. Okay. Now there they talk about something called small language models. So what they are saying, that India should not focus on developing those large language models, that is ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, which can do everything. Okay, those are very difficult to make, cost a lot of money, and we are already little back in the race. What we should rather do, we should focus on SLMs, that is small language models. So ultimately what many people see it as a future that instead of having one chat GPT do everything, we will start having more and more vertical AIs. Vertical AIs means what? That instead of having very wide width, that like ChatGPT can analyze your medical records also, your legal documents also, and your personal problem also. So everything it can do. So instead of that horizontalness, the world sees that AIs that are more vertical will take precedence. So basically, there will be AIs that will be for legal. So they will go very deep and will have much better results with respect to legal documents or anything. Similarly, for photos and all, for photo editing and everything, okay, for generation, like photo generation and all, if you want to do editing and all, still now Canva has started using artificial intelligence and it does much better job than simple if you try to use chat gpt. Why? Because Canva is doing that only. That was their work. They're focused on developing their AI and employing it just to get much better photo editing. So this is what India also sees as the future, and here India can contribute. First, in two ways. First, creating indigenous version of everything. Correct. For example, legal documents now in India, the laws may be very different from other countries. So in this field, indigenous development, and the other that at the global scale also, we can produce some of them at least. Okay, this is how we can contribute in artificial intelligence. Very important. If in all probability you will get a question in mains on artificial intelligence, because an entire chapter was dedicated to this in economic survey. Okay, so very likely, and it was on this only. You can find the notes. Notes is uploaded on the economic survey. I had made 8-9 pages handwritten notes. Okay, so that you can refer, that will do. Okay, now what is sovereign AI? Sovereign AI, national capability to build and govern AI, uses domestic data and infrastructure based on strategic autonomy. Why important? So as I told you, for data security, reduced Western cultural bias, then frugal AI approach, then digital inclusion, GPAI leadership opportunity. Okay, so basically we want to be not just a receiver of all these technologies, but an active provider of them as well, at least for ourselves first, then to the world. This is the main aim. Then key challenges. What are the key challenges? First is of course weak data sets for Indian languages. As you understood, most of the things on the internet everywhere are not in our Indian languages. We have left Indian languages long back ago. Most of the education that you get is also completely in English. Correct? Medical हम कैसे पढ़ते हैं? English में ही पढ़ते हैं ना. There is no regional course. Similarly engineering, you take it anywhere, any state, everywhere we are doing it in English only. So we have already left it far behind. So that is a major issue, that there are very weak data sets available for Indian languages. Then risk of caste, gender and religious bias. This is also possible because our data is full of all these scenarios. Then lack of patient capital for deep tech. Now, what is deep tech? What is deep tech? हाँ, deep tech क्या होता है? See, deep tech, basically that is completely technical in nature or goes much deeper into technology. For example, like you have seen startups like this, Zomato, Swiggy, okay, all these are, they are called technology startups, but they do nothing in deep tech. So basically what they are doing, they are an app. All these, they are an app. App's only purpose is what it says, that you don't go outside, I'll bring it to you. Who will bring it for you? A person. A cheap labor will bring it for you. We'll provide you the platform to book that cheap labor. This is their entire thing. Now this is not deep tech. Deep tech is something that does everything technologically, not this all the interface. So basically in India there are very few or almost nil deep tech startups, very few of them that does, for example data security, for example that makes cloud based systems. Okay, so all these are very less available in India. So this is a major issue, that lack of patient capital for deep tech. Now, deep tech, why nobody likes to invest in deep tech? Because it has a very long gestation period. That is, after much long, after investing a lot of money for many years, eventually you may get results. So nobody is willing to do that in India, that long haul. So this is another issue. Then, now here what we are talking about, developing proper AIs. So this is deep tech, and it will require a lot of capital. Now, unstructured and siloed government data. Okay, so government data is also very unstructured. Then big tech moat sustainability risk. So basically big tech are also in similar thing, and fighting them becomes difficult in the long run. So these are the challenges. Then way forward is fine. Link AI push with India semiconductor mission. Promote indigenous AI accelerators. Focus on small and edge models. Okay, edge model they have mentioned here. Small, I have told you, small language models. Then enforce DPDP and data residency. DPDP is what? Yes. So Digital Personal Data Protection, DPDP Act. This has come that tries to protect your or give you powers to protect your personal data. So this must be enforced properly. Then prefer domestic AI in public procurement at least. This is expected from the government. Like government has started using Zoho. Okay, you know this. So basically, instead of using Gmail and all these document-based AIs, document-based softwares, they have started using Zoho. Zoho is an Indian company. Okay, I think he lives in some village in Tamil Nadu. Huh? Huh. So basically, he lives in some village, and his entire team lives in the village, and they have created Zoho. So this should be the government's responsibility, that you at least whatever we have developed, you at least start using our systems for them. What we have developed, what we don't have, of course, we have to use of others. Establish AI Safety and Certification Institute. Then next, yeah. So this is P8I, anti-submarine warfare. You know what is submarine? Submarine क्या होता है? It goes deep inside the ocean. It is moving. Correct. Now these aircrafts will do what? I'll explain you in short. So basically, this is an aircraft. Now so they actually carry something called sonobuoys. Okay, now this is what so this is like cylindrical 1.5 meter kind of thing. Now these are actually some things that can detect all the sounds that are being made inside the ocean. So what this aircraft will do, this aircraft flies very close to the ocean, and it will start dropping sonobuoys like this. So basically some cylindrical structures like this. Now of this cylindrical structure, let's say this is the surface of the ocean, so only antenna remains out, and this starts floating just inside the surface of the ocean. Now what it does, so submarines, even though they are very well made and they make very less sound, but they still do make some sound, and that it will try to capture. Now this is the passive one. There are some active ones also which can even send sonar waves and then receive the reflection of whatever sounds they are making. So basically it is trying to detect the sound. By that sound it will be able to tell that where this submarine might be located. Now this information is then relayed to this aircraft. So this aircraft's main purpose is detection of submarines. Now this particular one has also one more capability, that it can actually fire torpedoes. Torpedoes, you understand? So basically this is like rocket you have, no, that goes in the air. Now those same rocket cannot work inside this, correct, because they cannot burn the similar way. So basically they have something called torpedo. So torpedo looks like missile only, but it will go inside water and then it will hit the submarine. So this aircraft, once it gets the information, it can even release torpedoes. Okay, and this torpedo will come here and will try to destroy the submarine. This is the whole thing. Now we are importing a few of them, 6 of them from the US. This is the main news. Now see this. So what is the recent development? Defense Procurement Board cleared acquisition of 6 additional P-8I aircraft from the US. Then aim is strengthen Indian Navy's surveillance and combat capability in the Indian Ocean region. This is for Indian Navy, as you understood. Surveillance, you understand why? Because it is trying to detect the submarines. Now if it can detect submarines, it can also obviously detect ships and all that. So all that it can do, and the other thing is combat capability, as it can drop torpedoes and all this. Okay, now deal via India US intergovernmental agreement. Now just one more thing is there in this news, I'm telling you here only. So intergovernmental agreement. Now earlier, whenever there was any procurement from any other country, when India did, it had a clause that you must be doing some manufacturing in India. You must have a joint venture, some joint venture with our Indian company, or there should be a clause for transfer of technology. Something you must do so that we can start developing things indigenously. But in 2020, they brought an amendment to it, and they said that if it is an intergovernmental agreement, then this is not necessary. This is not necessary. We can just buy it directly and start using it. So this was the amendment that was brought, and this has been bought under this amendment. So basically we are not getting any transfer of technology or any joint manufacturing, nothing we are getting from it. We are just paying to get these 6 aircrafts. We are getting the aircrafts. That's it. Next. Yeah, so this is called why there is no offset clause. So processed under Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020. Then offset requirements removed for intergovernmental agreements. Okay, then no technology transfer or co-production clause, strategic urgency prioritizing over Make in India. So why India did the earlier one, that you must have some manufacturing this that in India to promote Make in India. But India is right now saying that this is our strategic urgency. So we don't care about you transfer technology this that. We first want these 8 aircrafts immediately. Then every country is ready. If you don't have this, if you say paisa denge hum kharidenge, then every country is ready ki leke jao. Okay, so then we have bought this. Now okay, let it be. Then what is this? So this is nothing but a long range maritime patrol aircraft. Patrol as in patrolling, you understand? Huh? Guarding, or basically surveillance. Then roles are, see, anti-submarine warfare, intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance. Okay, ISR, and then maritime surveillance, search and rescue. You understand? Nobody is going to ask you to enlist all of them. If you understand what all it can do, you can mark the answer. That's it. Then India operates 12 aircrafts at INS Rajali and INS Hansa. So we have these 2 and many others. So we already have 12 of these. Now we are buying 6 more. That's it. Then next. Yeah. This is SASO, basically SAS plus apocalypse. Okay, now what has happened? See. See. So basically, Now see, so basically the normal system, like let's go 5-10 years before. Now the normal system is of all these IT companies that you have in Bangalore is basically human operates a software and provides you some output, correct? Very simple. So basically all these Wipro, TCS, all these companies, they do what? They have to maintain, let's say some US bank. So they provide you human, okay, that are operating those maintenance software and then giving the output. If there are some issues, they are resolving that. This is the workflow. Now after that, after like 2020s, you have started seeing this being done more and more by artificial intelligence. That is this software to output. Now you don't need anybody to operate to do this. Okay, so basically artificial intelligence is taking care of this, correct? Software to output. Now what recently has happened, there is a company called Anthropic. So Anthropic company which has Cloud AI, if you know Claudie, whatever. So Cloud AI. So basically what it does, they have done, they have recently released in Feb only 11 plugins. Now why those plugins are important? Because through those plugins they have formed a new system where it is artificial intelligence, software and output. Now this was already being done by artificial intelligence. Now instead of human, this also can be done by artificial intelligence. So now the entire workflow does not need human, and that is why this has caused something called apocalypse. Okay, so basically what is happening here, all these companies that are, for example, Wipro, TCS, all these service based companies, they are panicking, and so does the share market, and they have started selling stocks of these companies. Why? Because now artificial intelligence is able to do this. Now if you take the very simple systems, for example, if you ask ChatGPT to, let's say, open something and open a account, let's say a post on Instagram, not Instagram, let's say on legacyis.com, but in legacyis.com, let's say you first get a login window. In Byju's and all, you also get this. So first you have to log in, then only you can see the proper web page. Now, so you ask ChatGPT, go to that web page and bring information for me. So then it will tell you that I cannot log in into it because I cannot access software. Correct? I cannot access websites. That is the problem, and that is where human intervention was useful. Now, using these plugins, what it can do, this artificial intelligence can go and get to use all this software, websites, whatever, and then generate output for you. So basically, you don't need humans as such. Now, so this is why they are saying that we'll be replacing humans at least in these fields. Now they have released 11 plugins. These plugins are for different fields. For example, for legal work, for medical work, for this work. So for all these they have released. Now, why news? So Anthropic released 11 cloud plugins enabling autonomous workflows. This is called autonomous workflow. Then fears of AI replacing software and labor triggered sell-off. Okay, Sasopclips, termed popularized by Jeffrey, some guy. Okay, AI agent may replace software usage itself. So now ultimately you won't even feel that there is a software and there is a person operating it. Ultimately the same AI through those plugins can provide you information. So ultimately it is just one interface of artificial intelligence that you will use and you will get everything done. So all the companies that were using those softwares, all that, and people used to give payment based on headcount, all that will be gone. This is what the claim is. Now, threat to seat-based SaaS revenue model. Now, what is this? So, seat-based SaaS revenue model is what? So, basically, you might have some people working in companies like this, Wipro, TCS. You might have heard that we are on bench. Okay, we are on bench. We are not currently in any project. We are just sitting and we are getting salary. Okay, why companies like this keep people like this? So basically, why Wipro would keep someone? Because let's say there is a US bank suddenly that comes to Wipro and says that we would want 1000 people in our project. Okay, so basically the billing of whatever is the cost is done on head count. So now this comes and says that we want 1000 people for our project and billing will be on head count. Now, if Wipro starts recruiting now, it won't suffice, correct? So Wipro is always ready with many people just sitting idle, waiting for a project. And once they get a big project like this, then they will assign it to many people. So mainly everything is done, billing is being done on head count. So whatever is the number of people employed, so they pay like this. So basically, let's say they decide that it will, the hourly rate is $40 per hour. For 8 hours, these people will be maintaining, let's say, different 8 hours, so that they cover 24 hours. So 8 hours if they are doing, then they will multiply this, whatever is the number, that will be paid. Okay, why these foreign companies do this? Because in US, this is too less for somebody this skilled. This is very basic skill, but this skilled person you cannot get in $40 per hour, and then you have to set up an office, this, that. You don't want all that. So they used to transfer it here. Now, they were gaining by not giving employment in USA, but rather to Indians at a lower cost. So they were getting cheap cost labor, and Wipro, how it was gaining? Because from one employee, they were getting so much money, like at least a few lakhs, and then they were giving them a few thousands only. So basically it was this IT, nothing. This was basically an arbitrage business. कि बीच में से पैसा निकाल लेते हैं. This is what their business model was. Okay, this is called seed-based SaaS revenue model. SaaS is software as a service. Okay, so this was the model. Now, as you understand, now AI will be able to do this. So all these number of people won't be needed. Then, now see. So agentic AI executes multi-step tasks with minimal human input. Now shift from assistive tools to workflow executors. So it can execute everything on its own. So ultimately what industry experts are saying, that it will not replace, like some people who run these companies like cloud, they will claim ki khatam, in 12 months we will end all these companies, because they want to justify ki hum $1 trillion ke hue kaise valuation mein, how we became a $1 trillion company, how we became a $300 billion company. You must be doing something very disruptive, na? Otherwise investors will ask ki why. Okay, so they are claiming all these things. Now, so from 100 people, let's say there were 1000 people that were needed for that US bank. Now they would hardly need 300 people. 300 people to supervise the things. Okay. Otherwise, if there is some issue, then who is going to resolve? Or if there is an issue, who to blame? Okay, so basically they need some people at least, but a majority of the chunk, for example 70%, you won't be needing. And this is what the major issue or the major concern is. Okay, now SaaS revenue tied to human seats become vulnerable. Human in the loop remains critical in regulated sectors. Now why it is giving you, now it is giving you the counter arguments. So first is, in the regulated sectors, human in the loop is critical. Why? Because as per regulations, for example, let's say you are dealing in pharmaceutical. Now there must be human in the loop. You cannot say कि we have employed AI. It was supposed to do everything. It did wrong, so कुछ गलत हो गया. So right now for the regulated sectors, there is that human must be there in the loop. Then Bloomberg GPT showed domain AI can outperform general models. So now they are saying that instead of these large models, plugins and all that, we will start having small models that I explained you. Then rising AI written code, sheer signals, rapid penetration. This is fine. So basically, this is the thing, this is the argument that we will need less and less people. It will not eliminate human jobs completely. That won't happen, at least not in the next few years. Then what was the market reaction? So market reacts very weirdly to all this. So nearly 285 billion market cap erased globally. Now US legal and knowledge software stocks fell sharply. Nifty IT fell 5.87%, wiping 2 lakh crore. Okay, then Infosys and TCS dropped over 7%. Then analyst called reaction overblown, enterprises unlikely to discard existing softwares quickly. So what they are claiming, that the existing softwares that are there, that are too complex and not that effective to be used with AI. So right now it will somehow work. So this is the case scenario. Then next, yeah, so basically economic and employment implication. So India's per employee billing model faces structural repricing, entry level testing and compliance role most exposed, correct? Entry level testing and compliance role. So you know entry level testing jobs. So basically in coding what happens, so there are entry level jobs that are related to testing. So what they do, let's say any software is made, any problem is there, so they are testers, so they will test their different test cases, and if there is some issue, they will just write it in a mail or inform or create pings for the coders to solve it. So their entire job is to चला के देखना है कितना चल रहा है and what is not working. So now this at least can be completely replaced by AI. So they are most vulnerable. Then hiring slowdowns is visible in IT sector already. Then demand rising for AI architects and governance experts. Okay, then DeepSeek episodes showed panic cycles can reverse. So in DeepSeek, when DeepSeek came, DeepSeek was a very low cost AI that came from China. Then also there was market reacted very weirdly about it. Okay, so many stocks fell, this that, but then they reversed back. OpenAI actually fell by a very huge margin, then it came back. So they are saying that ye ho gaya, but the market will come back again. Then this is breakthrough in CAR T-cell therapy. Okay, CAR T-cell therapy we do in classes. Okay. Now, see, nothing much. See, you understand T cells? T cells, so WBCs you understand, correct? White blood cells do what? They fight with whatever disease or whatever pathogen attacks or some issues in your body. Now, white blood cells are of two types, B cells and T cells. Okay, now B cells do what? The main function I am telling you. So B cell does what? B cell produces antibodies. And T cell does what? It kills the infected cell. So basically, let's say some pathogen enters your body. Now what will happen? Immediately, according to whatever is the pathogen, it will identify and B cell will start producing antibodies for it to destroy the pathogen. Now pathogen, let's say, is neutralized. There are another thing called T cells. Now some cells that pathogen might have infected, now those cells are also not good for you. Those cells may have started malfunctioning or they may still carry the virus or pathogen which you don't want. So you have to kill that infected cell also. That is done by T cell. Okay, so T cell actually destroys your own infected cells. Understood? Now, there is something called CAR T cell therapy that is used in cancer. So what they do, they first take out, now in cancer the major issue is that cancer cells are your own. It is just abnormal growth of cells. So now those are your own cells, but the problem is that it is very difficult for T cell to identify them, that this is now an infected cell and I should kill this. So this is a problem. Now what they do, so basically if somehow I give this power to my original T cell that it can identify the cancer cells precisely, then it can do its job. It can go and kill that cell. It has the ability to kill all cells, but it does not have the ability to identify the cancer cells. So this identification I am trying to get to it, and this whole process actually gives more power to your T cell to identify, and then it will be killed. So first process is, of course, you remove blood from the patient to get the T cells. Then in the T cells you insert a gene for CAR. This is chimeric antigenic receptor. Now, this after this has entered gene within your T cells, it starts growing, let's say, tentacles like this. Now, these tentacles are exactly something that will go and attach to your cancer cell. So these are manufactured, these are made in such a way that this will exactly attach only to your cancer cell. Okay, now once this is done, then they will produce more and more of your own CAR T cell. So you have mini CAR T cell now. So now this new amount of millions of T cells that you have, this have special property to identify that cancer cell, and that it is injected back in your body. And now inside your body, this is CAR T cell, it can identify the cancer cells and it can kill them. This is called CAR T cell therapy to treat cancer. Now you have done this now. Ah, okay. Then, now, this was the main thing. Now, the recent breakthrough is nothing much. So basically, IIT Bombay, IIT Bombay has demonstrated a gentler method to recover lab-grown CAR T cells. So basically, these CAR T cells are actually grown in 3D scaffolds or 3D molds, you can understand. So they grow in 3D molds like this. Now, what happens? So basically, instead of harsh enzymes like trypsin, researchers used acutase for cell detachment. Now, so in this scaffolds, let's say, you start growing CAR T cells. Now, what used to happen, that when they were trying to extract this out from here, then it was not a very gentle method. So those cells were not coming out as effective as it should. Some will be distorted from somewhere here, there, but then also because there were millions of them, it was working just fine. Okay, but it was not as efficient. So now, instead of these enzymes that they were using earlier, they have started using some other enzyme. Enzymes won't be asked from you, and it helps in much better cell detachment. That's the only thing in news. What I wanted to tell you is about CAR T cell therapy. Now, result is higher cells survival. Okay, then preserved immune function, better readiness for cancer therapy. Same thing. Basically, more cells will be good. Then breakthrough lies in process innovation. That is cell recovery stage. That's it. Then what are T cell and CAR T cell therapy? This you have already understood. T cell, white blood cells that detect and destroy infected or abnormal. Here in this case, cancer cells. CAR T cell, patient T cells are collected. This, that whole process you have understood. That's it. Now this you need to know. Yeah. So basically, this is right now approved for certain blood cancers only. Okay, for certain blood cancers, this is approved, this CAR T cell therapy. Now, there is something called NextCAR19. This was developed in 2023, all the time in news. Every few months, you will find this in news. This is India's first indigenous CAR T cell therapy. Okay, this is NextCAR19. Then, this was developed by IIT Bombay and ImmunoAct. This is from Tata Institute. Okay, so basically IIT Bombay and ImmunoAct, and this is among the most affordable version of CAR T cell therapy globally. Okay, this is NextCAR19. Three things you need to note here. 2023, India's first indigenous, developed by IIT Bombay and ImmunoAct, and that it is the one of the most affordable. Then next, why is this significant? So global CAR T cell therapy cost around 3 to 4 crores. Now, if there is better recovery, so that means less cells would be destroyed like this. So it will reduce wastage of expensive lab grown cells. And that is how it will reduce the cost. So it improves affordability and reliability of Indian CAR T cell programs. Now, signals India's shift from generic drugs to advanced cell and gene therapy innovation. Okay. This is also mentioned in the budget, correct? That we are trying to focus on, like we are known as the pharmacy of the world. So we make all these things. So basically there is something called biopharma. Okay. Biopharma is basically what? So pharmaceutical, you understand? All these medicine that you take, paracetamol, this, that. Now, those are old. Now, we are getting to more and more therapies that are using living organisms. For example, vaccines, for example, monoclonal antibodies. So basically there are different mechanisms that are trying to mimic or have living organisms. Now, because of this, India is focusing on developing its biopharma industry also. For example, in the world's pharma, we generate around 26% of the generic medicines. But if you look at biopharmaceuticals, then we are hardly at 5%. Okay, as more and more things becomes personalized medicine, then therapies will become important. Then everybody would stop taking paracetamol like a gatagat goli. Okay, so they will stop taking paracetamol, they will start having some kind of therapies. And if India remains here, then we will be losing a lot of jobs and money. So that's why it is one of the focus areas of budget also. Then new telescopes in Ladakh, nothing much, this is easy. Telescopes, you understand? What are telescopes? Huh? Not those. So basically telescope, what you have, yeah, so basically those are the telescopes used by children that they see in the sky, okay, or some people in the 1500s 1600s they would see in the sky like this. Now of course for your fun you can do, but at the scientific level now they have telescopes like this. So basically what is this? They set up these telescope in places which have very clear sky. For example, Ladakh. So in Ladakh, because the sky is so clear, you can see everything that you can see from Earth in the sky. Correct? Like right now in Bangalore, even if you go at night, you cannot see any stars. Okay? Why? Because there is so much light pollution. So you can hardly see any stars. Now, if you go on trek to some Himalayan places or maybe somewhere here also, so basically you must have seen that when you sleep in those tents and all, you can see a lot of stars, okay, at night. Now, why is that? Because there is no light pollution, the weather is much clearer and you can see very clearly. Now, in those places, they set up telescopes like this. So what they do, so there will be, so what they do, this that you see here, it opens slightly for the observations, and otherwise they have to keep this covered so that dust and all these particles are not settling on it. So they are closed like this, it will open up like this, it will do observations for you and then it will close down. So this is how it works. So what it does, the process is the same. That is, in most cases, this is a passive observer. So it is just trying to observe whatever is there in the sky. Okay, now first thing, so Union Budget 2026 has sanctioned National Large Solar Telescope, then National Large Optical Near Infrared Telescope, and the upgraded version of Himalayan Chandra Telescope. These are the three things proposed in the Budget 2026. This is a major push to our astronomy infrastructure. Now, Hanley Dark Sky Reserve, notified in 2022, strengthens India's global competitiveness. Okay, this has been also asked. Okay, first dark sky reserve. I think in one of the statements it was mentioned in UPSC. So basically this was notified in 2022. Now these are the three things they are doing. So they are sanctioning 2 new telescope and an upgraded version of the Chandra telescope. That's it. Now, why is Ladakh ideal for astronomy? So, Henley altitude above 4000 meter. 4000 meter is what? Approximately half of Mount Everest. 8848 is Mount Everest, correct? So, very high. Okay, then it has dry air. Why? Because this is a cold desert. Okay, it has low light pollution. That's why 250 to 300 clear nights annually you can find here. Otherwise, if it is a place that is not a desert, like this is a desert, then you will have monsoon, rainfall, clouds, this, that, nothing. Because it is a desert at the end of the day. So 250 to 300 clear nights you get. Okay, then minimal atmospheric distortion. Now, scientific advantage. So this has better light collection and resolution. Now, this leads to better light collection and resolution and ideal for optical and infrared observations. This is why we put all these. One is already there, two more we are putting in Ladakh only. Okay. Then, what are these? So this is a solar telescope. It will study the sunspots, solar flares, coronal mass ejections, improve space weather prediction, complements Aditya L1. So basically, basic observation of the sun. Now, how they observe the sun? So what they do, they have very high resolution, sort of you can understand it like a camera. So what they will do, they will zoom in, okay, and they will take very, very high resolution pictures of the sun, and from that sun or places around the sun, and then from there they do certain observations. So they have very good systems to analyze this data also, and then they get to, let's say that there are these dark spots present in the sun, these are the solar flares that may be released, whatever. So all this they do. Next is this NLOT. This is 13.7 segmented mirror telescope. Now, yeah, so this is an optical IR telescope. Studies exoplanets, galaxies, and early universe. Now, in last current affairs lecture, we learned about something called transit method. So transit method is actually used to observe planets or exoplanets. So what happens? Now, there is a star like this. Let's say this is from Earth, you are observing this. Now, of course, you cannot see exoplanets directly. Why you cannot see exoplanets, but you can see stars? Yeah, because stars release light. That's why you can see stars, but you cannot see other planets going around. Though planets are much closer, Mars is much closer to all the stars that you see in the sky, but it does not release any light. So what happens? So when these planets are revolving, now they will sometimes come in between this star, and the way the light bends here, or the way the trajectory changes, and for how long does it changes, based on that they identified that this might be a planet that is passing, and this planet might be this big. This is one of the methods how they understand exoplanets. And then they will say what? So all this calculation they will do, and then they will tell that this exoplanet we have located, which is going around in this path at this distance, and it may be approximately of this size. So this is what it does. Now here they use IR radiations generally, that is infrared radiations, instead of the visible ones. Now, so these are the two satellites, telescopes. Then, what is the role of upgraded HCT? This is fine. So upgraded one has increased the segmented mirror, then improved resolution and sensitivity, then scientific role, strong in transit astronomy, supports multi-messenger astronomy, complements LIGO India, all that is fine. Basically, this is just a better version of the old Chandra telescope. So some improvements they have sanctioned in this budget. That's it. Then strategic and policy significance. So this boosts India's scientific leadership in global south, reduces dependence on Western observatories, supports high precision optics and deep tech ecosystems. This I have told you many times in class also, that whenever you're writing a science and tech answer, one point should always be that this will develop something deep tech, some spin-off technology, because anything you do in science, whatever study, whatever understanding you get, that can be used in other fields also. So that is always a point that you can put. So here also support high precision optics and deep tech ecosystem. Then aligns with push to increase GERD beyond 0.7% of GDP. Okay, then I think this is it. Yes. Yeah. Okay, this is it. These were the 5 topics that we had to cover. Thank you.